It's the Dino and Joe show. My name is Dino, and that gentleman, and I use the term loosely over there, is Joe.
What's going on, everybody? How we doing?
I am doing fine. How are you?
I'm good.
Okay.
I've learned that in my growing age, I no longer know how to use technology.
Because you are so far advanced in age.
Well, as we've discussed previously, I have the soul of a 67-year-old
Oh,
man.
you do by
Maybe
far.
even
In
older
fact,
than that.
I'm
Maybe
pretty
75,
sure.
80.
I'm pretty sure at this point we're up past your bedtime.
Yeah. Yes, we
like,
are. I would have
like
liked to have a warm glass of milk and gone to bed by this point.
so true story. We're looking for a place to go for my birthday because my birthday's coming up shortly after yours.
Yes.
And there's this place I've never been here in Dayton, and presidents go there. It is a very high level steakhouse. It's called the Pine Club.
Okay.
And it's famous here. And I'm telling you, every president's ever visited here to go there, and they don't get a reservation. They don't take reservations, and they don't make reservations even for the president. So no
Fancy.
joke. And you have to dress nice and whatever, right? And so we were looking at when they were open, and they're open at like 4:30. And I said to my wife, I'm like, well, who's eating at 4:30?
Yeah.
And she's like, Joe.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because
So,
you go to bed at 6.
well, I
So
mean, yeah, first of all, I need to get my beauty sleep. Do you think this happens by accident? Like this is a beautifully planned structure. And yeah, no, I will admit, when I was a single younger man, I would usually, and I'm not kidding, go to sleep about 10 o'clock every night. That's when my body naturally falleth asleep and drift off into dreaming land. But
I have a thing where I worry about calling you on a day off because I'm worried about you taking a nap. Not gonna lie. I'm like, I wonder if he's napping right now.
depends on how the mood strikes, you might have. Like, I'm not kidding, it's a possibility on a day off. It's a 50-50 gamble. Like, if it's between the hours of 1 and 4,
That's why I worry about it.
if I don't pick up, you know what I'm doing. But now that I am a taken man, I do my best to stay up till like midnight, but a lot of times it's just me, just knocked out on the couch.
Resting
And
your
her,
eyes.
yeah, and I'm sure her looking over, being like, oh, already. And I was like, no, I'm totally up. I don't know what you mean. She's like, what happened in the movie? I'm like, oh, the guy did the thing, and yeah, I'm gonna go get something to drink. Try to walk it off. Try to
Right,
walk off and
right.
sleep.
Not
Here
run
you
into the coffee table or
Yeah,
the
let's not
wall on my way, the door frame.
go. But yeah, so I don't know how to use technology.
That's
And not like I did before. Like, there are some newfangled things. I said newfangled. That's right. Like
You're a 65-year-old man.
like the
Your
TikTok,
kids and your newfangled
the
things.
the Instagram, obviously the Facebook, as we discussed earlier. I don't know how to not get blocked on that. So, like, these are just this is
By the way,
obviously.
we are still banned.
Yes, we
You
are.
did not fix it. We are still banned.
I don't think I can, and we might have to just redo it. So
I believe we're going on like 10 days where we have been banned from Facebook and continue
I
to be.
I will take full responsibility because it is fully my fault, and I will re-sign us up for it. So everybody just calm down.
Awesome. I put something together actually for you to list all of our social media sites, and it has Facebook, but it has the big red circle with the line through it because we're not there anymore.
Apparently, they just cannot handle us there. Everywhere
Yeah,
else can: Twitter, YouTube, TikTok. Obviously, Spotify now. Again,
yeah.
if you are watching this on YouTube, please check us out on Spotify, the Dino and Joe Show. We're on there. It's a big fancy platform. I'm sure you've heard of it. Or honestly, wherever you get your podcasts, we will be
Yeah,
on there.
yeah.
So
Growing leaps and bounds
we
with each.
are.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Thank you for everybody who's listening. To you, the viewer dash listener, we wouldn't be here without you. I
Well,
see.
we
I'm
would
looking.
be. It's not like our
Yeah,
existence
that's true.
relies on that, but
We would be here, but we wouldn't be the great successes we are.
we wouldn't be like recording our conversations.
Correct. We would just continue the phone conversations
This would
that
still, yeah. And for
crack
people who
us up.
don't know, like I guess we haven't really ever like dove into this a little bit, but like all this really is just us sitting down and saying, we should probably record the conversations that we end up just having anyway.
So
and
That's
see
it.
if people think they're funny, because we just end up like, and it became this thing. Like for me, like I just try to make you laugh.
Yeah.
Like if I find a way to make you laugh, then I think I've succeeded today. And we get to share stories that we have that, quite honestly, our significant others don't want to hear
Wanna
anymore
hear
because
anymore.
they've already heard them.
It's the truth.
They're always like, oh, wait,
That's
my wife was like, wait, you're gonna go tell your stories to Joe that I've heard for the last 10 years? Just go. She's like, I'm gonna go drink some wine and relax, and you can go tell your funny little
do whatever you
stories.
want. Exactly. Funny little stories that frankly aren't even that funny to me.
Right. I've already heard that. You've
That's
already
funny.
told me that. Yes, I know you were in radio. But the funny thing is, like, this is literally what we would do to spend time, right? And we
Yep.
would end up in a hour-long conversation about absolutely nothing.
Yep.
But
Now we
they were
record it.
fun for us. Yeah, now we just record it and let everybody hear.
Yeah.
And hopefully they like it and subscribe, and hopefully they, hit the like button and subscribe.
That's all we ask. If you enjoy this, that is what, allows us to know you like it, and we'll create new fun things like these great conversations. Who didn't love talking about civics? Who didn't love seeing me make a
I
fool
didn't
of
like
myself?
civics.
Well, just like I didn't necessarily like the office trivia one where, I guess we did differently on those. You did much better than me, but still, it's fun stuff, and I enjoy getting to do this with you.
Oh no! One thing I've learned, that 80% success rate is just the same as a 53% success rate. That's
Okay.
something you taught.
Never gonna live that one down.
Not for another 10 shows.
Not for another. Okay. Well. Okay. Good. Now I have a time in my mind.
By that time, I'll have something else.
You have something. Well, I'm old, so just go with that one.
So something that is out there that we kind of talked about at some point, you and I, is that I have 2 kids and you have none.
I don't.
And I have a 10-year-old and a 5-year-old, and you don't want any.
Correct.
And I think it's funny when you look at people who don't have kids versus people that have kids. Like, so my question for you is, because you don't have kids, but you've been around kids and people that have kids. Like, is there anything that stands out for you that you go, I don't get this? Because I'm sure there's going to be something that when before I had kids, I went, I don't get this either. Or maybe having kids, I went, no,
Yeah.
I don't.
There's one thing that jumps out to me.
Okay.
And I'm just thinking before I make this general term. I'm going to say it. Every person I know that has kids does this one thing. And I will make a bet that you and your wife do it too, or did it. Probably not at this point.
Yeah, no, not at this point, I'm sure.
So you don't say they're 2 years old. You say they're 24 months. You don't say they're a year and a half. You say 18 months. So you use the months instead of the age. How far? So you said you have a 5-year-old.
Yes.
So what is he, a 60-month-old, or is he 5 years old?
That's a lot of months, and that's a lot of math at this time of the day.
But my point is, like, at what point does that stop? Because I know people say 24 months.
Yeah.
I know that's 2 years.
Yeah.
I may not be a master of math, but like that basic stuff I can figure out.
So I didn't understand that.
Yeah.
When I had kids, I didn't understand. I didn't know that was the thing, right? So when we had, George, who's my oldest, right? When we had him, like, my wife had to educate me that that's the way that they measure, and I can't figure it out other than the fact I know that their clothes are done that way.
I was gonna say.
And then they hit this weird thing, right? So it's like, newborn, or 0 to 6 months, and then 6 to 12, and then 12 to 18, 18 to 24, and then they go into like toddlers, right?
Yeah, 3T, 4T, 5T. Yes.
I didn't understand that at all. Like, I'm like, whatever happened to like small, medium, and large, right? You do it for every other piece of clothing, unless you're a sports brand and you do it by numbers, which I still don't understand why a jersey's a 46, but another one's a 42.
Right.
Well, okay. But yeah, I never got that either. It's the weirdest thing to me. And it's weird to me because I would say things in years. Like, they'd be like, oh, how old's your kid? I'd be like, a year and a half.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, they're 18 months. Why are you doing a conversion? Right. This is not like metric system where you've got to figure out Celsius to Fahrenheit, or how many yards versus miles are going on here. Like, why are we translating that back into months when I just told you they're like a year? Oh, they're 12 months.
Maybe they wanted to buy you some clothes.
No, maybe.
You don't know that.
Extra clothes to offer. I don't know.
The best intentions. You don't know that. But I find that very strange. And like, okay, 0 to 6, I get it. Maybe even 12 months, okay. 18 is
No, 12
about
months is a year.
yeah, I
Just a
guess.
year. They're a year old. I don't go, oh, my kids are 12 months and 18 months. I go, they're a year and a half. Like I never did that. I get it. I mean, I understand it that that's the way that it's done and the way that they're referenced. But to me, like I once they got to 12 months, I was like, they're a year.
You're done. Yeah. Like the farthest I would, before I find it ridiculous, is 24. At 24 and
You're
beyond,
two
it's like, no,
years
come on.
old. It's like,
Come
come
on. You're
on.
2 years old. You've had 2 years to figure out what 24 months is, and
Right.
you're fine.
And you know what the other thing I always hated?
Mm.
When you say they hit two, everyone has the same response. Oh, the
Terrible
terrible
twos.
twos.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I cannot stand that. No. Because the terrible twos are the terrible threes.
Really?
And if you don't, discipline your child, you're gonna have terrible fours. Like the whole terrible twos thing is like such a myth to me because at two my kids acted the way they acted, but they sure as heck weren't like this whole like suddenly they became like these terrors of children
Right.
at 2 years old. They're children, right? They behave like you allow them to behave, right? So
Right.
yeah, the terrible twos thing, that drives me nuts. That's to this day just grates on me. Like, oh, the
Hmm.
terrible twos. As if like when they turn three, magically, poof, they're just
Right.
terrible.
It all goes away.
Yeah.
My cousins said, "Oh, they're in their terrible twos now," and they didn't seem that bad.
I
And I
know.
was like, I mean, sure, like I feel like at 2 years old, I know for a fact until I was about 29, I was an awful, awful kid.
Look,
Like it's
I
just I
okay.
was very
You want to
until
talk
I was
terrible
older.
twos?
Yeah.
I have a 5-year-old and a 10-year-old. And I
Yes.
am not kidding. 2 days ago, the 5-year-old went up and sucker punched my 10-year-old right in the groin for no reason. Just walked up and hit him. Boom. Terrible twos? No. And so I said, why did you do that? And you know the answer I got? The
Mm,
quintessential kid's answer. I don't know.
I don't know. All right. He
I
saw a
don't
groin.
know.
He was like, let's just
Punching
show
it.
let's show the 10-year-old that I'm not going to take any garbage for the next few years. Bam. Knock
Yeah.
it right
Just
out. Knock some sense into you.
because like I have two boys, they watch wrestling, so they think they want to wrestle, right? And they naturally they play like boys, like that.
Yeah.
They just you got to separate them every once in a while, and but literally just out of the just I watched it happen. He just literally walked over, and went, bomb. Like, okay,
Okay.
Dad's gonna step in, and you know my 10-year-old's acting like he's a you know um, Latin soccer player rolling around on the
Right.
ground,
Like,
right? Like as if he's been shot out of a cannon. And I said, why did you do that? I don't know.
I don't know. I just
It was there.
it was there.
The
It's there.
opportunity
I felt like it
presented
was,
itself,
yeah,
and
exactly.
felt like he needed to be taught a lesson in that
I
moment.
feel like that's one of the reasons it's probably best that I was, and I'm sure it would have been different if I had any brothers or sisters. I'm an only child.
Ah,
I feel like as if you couldn't tell, um, I Dean. Right now we're talking about me. Hello, right here.
this is
Uh,
it's all about me.
it's all about me right now.
All about this right here.
But I feel like I would be that kid. I would either be the little brother or the older brother who would just see the other one and be like, groin punch. Just because, again,
Just because I can.
and then the answer wouldn't be I don't know. It'd be because I wanted to. Needed to get something out, and that's the way I did it. Just a nice solid groin punch.
Now, I have an older brother, younger sister. My brother's 2 years older than I am. And
Mhm.
when we were kids, my mom tells the story, right? I would follow him everywhere, and I see it with my kids too, right? My 5-year-old wants to be with my 10-year-old. If my 10-year-old wants a drink of water, he wants a drink of water, right?
Sure.
I was the same way as a kid. And then somewhere along the lines of growing up, I learned psychological warfare, and I knew that if my brother hit me, he'd be getting into
Yeah.
trouble.
Yes.
And I had this amazing talent to get him worked up to the point where he was so mad and I would just keep digging and digging until it got to the point where he would just really want to hit me, and then I'd stop. And he had no place to go with all that anger. It was just
Wow.
all
So
there and
you so
built
you
up.
you took the Coke bottle shook it up,
Get up.
and just kept your thumb right on top of it, like.
Yep.
And then it just.
I
could like a, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah.
No point. Wow.
Oh,
Okay. That
Yeah.
is psychological warfare.
Oh, man.
That's
I was
good.
good at it too.
I
I could get
respect
under
that.
his skin in a heartbeat, and
That's fantastic.
I just knew it did, and so I just let it go and faster. I mean, I seriously, he'd get worked up, his fist would be balled because he was just ready to go, and I'd just be like, "Mm, okay." I probably should apologize to him someday, but
you know, if he's listening, say it right now. Say it right now if he's listening.
I don't think I can.
All right. That's fair. I can't argue with you. I wouldn't.
He's
I would, in fact, I would
Yeah.
do it right now. I would.
fact-
I would look at the camera and egg him on right now.
He's probably mad at me enough right now. He's probably going, "Oh, you thought you were going to apologize now." Yeah, it was fun.
It was funny because this. I feel this would have been different if I had any brothers or sisters, but I'm kind of appreciative that I didn't, because when I was a kid, I was able to do what I wanted to do. Right. A lot of times,
every toy that there was, nobody, you didn't share.
Exactly. So here's the thing. And I'm sure any friends of mine or my parents, if they're watching this, might dispute this, but I think I was a pretty fair kid.
Yeah,
like I tried my best to share. Well, here's the thing.
I don't buy that at all.
I spent most of my time in my room.
I believe that's revisionist history.
Reading books. No, this is a fact. You can look at this. Reading books.
Wait. No, you spent time in your room reading books. I buy that 100%.
Reading books, playing Nintendo 64, specifically Star Fox.
Oh yeah.
That's a great game. Loved that game. Like, the N64 is still one of my favorite systems of all time. And I would watch movies in there, right? Those would be the big things that I would do.
Sure.
To punish me, my parents would make me go outside and play with the other kids. I was not a sociable person when I was younger. I was not. I was the kid who didn't wear denim. I didn't wear denim jeans until I was about 11 years old. I only wore khakis and a turtleneck. Hand to God, that is the truth. And a bowl cut.
That I believe too.
That is 100% true. That was me as a kid.
So now I take it back, because I last episode I said I think you did everything you could to not be cool. I'm pretty sure your parents did everything to you so that you wouldn't.
Here's what you don't get. I wish I could blame them. A lot of these were my choices. They never made me stay inside. They, in fact, said, go play with the neighborhood kids. I didn't want to have a ton of friends. I had a few friends where we play video games, do that kind of stuff. That was it. I chose most of my attire. And then I will admit, 6th grade, 8th grade, somewhere in that region was when, my affinity for Weird Al.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
All I wore was a white T-shirt and a Hawaiian shirt. Every single day, that is what I wore. I had 15, 20 different Hawaiian shirts. That is what I wore.
I would have beat you up in high school.
Most people listening here would have. Now, here's the thing. No.
I've
not in high school. In probably middle or grammar school, 100%. 3rd grade through 8th grade.
Well, I'm sorry. Hold on there, 65-year-old man. Did you say grammar school?
What's it called?
Not grammar school. I mean, I guess that's an official name, but I haven't heard grammar school.
Actually, you're right. It's not grammar. So for us in our area, it was primary school, intermediate school, middle school, high school, college. That's the way it went. So you're right. Grammar school was probably an old man term that I pulled back out from
back in the one-room schoolhouse.
Yeah, where we had the ink wells and we had to dip, and I always got a little bit of ink on the shirt.
How about this? My dad went to a one-room schoolhouse.
Really?
No joke. I've actually seen it. He actually took me to where it still sits today and showed me the one-room schoolhouse they went to as kids. And he said that you wanted to get to school early enough that you could, in the winter, that you could be closer to the one wood-burning stove that they had. Yeah. And that was the source of heat. And they would have to go out and get the wood for it.
So this truly was a place of learning multiple things.
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
And then when he went, when they moved and he went to his next school, they didn't have kindergarten, so they put him in 1st grade. And so my dad graduated a year early.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. You might have seen him in your school that you apparently went to.
Yes. Probably passed by him in the hallways. And I was the guy with the pocket protector. I didn't wear a pocket protector. But I will admit, one of the...
You wanted one, though.
So here's the thing. In high school is when it
I
kind of
like how you
changed.
don't say yes. You go, well, here's the thing. Like you're
Here's the
now
thing.
trying to qualify it.
I don't I don't think I ever wanted a pocket protector, but I did love pens. I still have a thing to this day about pens. I love pens. As much I work for a technology company, we both do. I love technology. I think it's a
Yeah.
great thing. I think it's
Just can't use it.
yeah, well, clearly. But to me, few things are better than pen on paper. I love it. I have specific pens, like when I sign important documents, whether it's, I had to get a new social security card. I signed that with a very nice pen that I got. When I sign leases or when I sign a mortgage, I have very particular pens that I like to use because they feel great, they're important to me, and they're very nice pens. So I was big into pens when I was a kid and when I was younger in like high school. And I always had a pen in my pocket. And then I learned what pocket protectors were for. But then, stop. Then I learned about a thing called a pencil that didn't leak. So I used pencil 95% of high school.
Please tell me you use mechanical pencils.
I did not. There is
Oh,
only one pencil that this man will use ever. If you can't get me this pencil, I won't use a pencil. It is a Dixon Ticonderoga #2.
oh man, I knew you were gonna
The
say that.
the best pencil that has ever been in existence.
I
Ever.
had a uh, high school social studies teacher who's phenomenal, and he very much extolled the virtues of the Dixon Ticonderoga #2 pencil. In
Mhm.
fact, that's what he forced you to buy for his class.
You need one.
It's
You
a
absolutely
pencil.
need to have one.
It's a pencil.
Yeah. All right. Well, you know what? We'll talk about this a little bit more when we come back from break. We'll be right back.
All right, so we're back,
We are
and
back.
you have you're extolling the virtues of the #2 Dixon Ticonderoga pen.
Pencil. It is a
Pencil. Sorry.
pencil. It's
Yeah.
one of these. So honestly, though, if you are listening to this and you use any other pencil, just buy a pack. You can go to Walgreens. I think they're like $4. You get 5 of them in there. You will not get a better writing experience,
You
sharpening
got a
experience.
separate deal I don't know about?
I didn't want to
Dude.
tell you. I didn't want to tell you.
I'm
You are
I'm
frozen. You are so
contracted.
frozen. Oh, there you go. Now you kick back. You were frozen on my
Wow.
side.
On my side, completely fine.
Oh,
Fair.
well, all right.
All right.
But I did not accept money. But if they want to, I am available for sponsorship. Dixon Ticonderoga #2, the best pencil out there.
Selling yourself out for a pencil.
Yeah, well, but it's so I will only sell myself out for something I truly believe in.
What's
So
what's Joe's going rate? A year supply of Dixon Ticonderoga
if you
#2
honestly, if you
pencils.
did that, Dixon would be and still is my only pencil that I will use. I'll use
And wait, they got to send you a shirt that has their logo on it. It says Pencil Geek.
pencil. I would do that. I would wear that every single day.
I know you would, with a fake pocket protector on it.
Yes, just the flap.
Because
Yes,
you
I
don't
love
need
that.
one for the pencil,
No, you
but
don't need one. So here's
yeah.
my point. So I don't have a pencil, but I have a pen. So I was the guy who always put the pencil behind his ear. Every day, everywhere, no matter what. I had a
Just
pencil behind my.
in case you had to do some Disney animation real quick, or
No,
you were
because
suddenly going to be doing blueprints.
that was the cool guy thing to do for me. I thought that looked cool. If you look through
Sure.
my yearbook, any picture of me, pencil behind the ear.
Joe, you were
And
so
well, what I will say is I saw my friend either Mark or my friend Paul doing it one time. Totally stole it from them. Always put the
yeah.
pencil behind the ear then.
Yeah. See, I just tell you I wasn't cool, and I knew it wasn't cool, and that's why I went into radio.
Well, that definitely made you cool.
Yeah,
You're very cool now.
because suddenly people thought you were cool because you were the guy playing the music that they were listening to. And since I really couldn't talk to girls,
Yeah.
or like that was a way for me to gain confidence in talking, and then girls would call you, so it was kind of cool.
That's awesome. So in high school. So before high school, girls were just not an option.
No,
I don't know if you could tell from my amazing wardrobe of bowl cut turtleneck khakis, but not really in the thing there. In high school is when it started. And let me tell you, I could talk to girls no problem. I would. I still can. I can go up and talk to anybody. I feel very comfortable. But it's going beyond that initial conversation. Yeah, it's nothing else
yeah,
there.
yeah.
That's Not a closer, as they would say.
Oh, please.
Yeah.
The best part was when I was in radio, like I started going to bars, right? And I would go into bars underage
Sure.
because as a radio guy, like you're doing, the live stuff from the bar. They don't ID you, they don't care, like you're working for the radio station. And then they would just let me hang out there. But I hung out in the DJ booth because like I wasn't gonna go talk to anybody.
Right.
Like I had no game, right? Then there was no ability to like get out of that, the
Right.
radio guy thing, right? And I was very socially not, I don't want to say inept because I could talk to anybody, but I wasn't socially confident, right? And so, yeah, it was kind of funny, but yeah, there was advantages though to being the 16-year-old kid in bars and the 18-year-old kid in bars that you weren't supposed to be in.
So for you, I got girls by becoming a referee.
That is a
that's not
chick magnet right there. Yeah, the striped shirt, they're really attracted to that.
It does, it's that feeling of power.
Right.
It's a uniform.
Women love a power. Right?
They do.
And
it's just
guys with a whistle that turns women on. Look what we know.
I was a very oblivious young man. When if there was anybody that was interested, I'd be like, nah, that's not possible. I'm sure that's
right.
That's something else entirely.
No, they're not looking at me. I can tell you right now, they're not looking at me.
Well, I did. So I will be honest. The one thing I did do to get girls, because I went to an all boys high school, all boys Catholic high school. Yep. The all girls Catholic high school was right across the way, right? And sometimes we would have like an exchange where, for instance, I think AP Physics, AP Chemistry, one of those. Right. The girls from IHM came over to our school, and we went over to them for anatomy and drama. So I had a lot of friends. Most of my girlfriends.
Wait. You went to the girls' school for anatomy and drama.
Yeah, those were the and AP French. AP French. Oh, and they came over for Italian. So here's the way it worked, right?
High school did you go to? Italian and French?
Yeah,
holy cow.
So okay, I have a few stories that'll follow this. Once I figured out that the girls were over there and I can talk to them, I started doing things like musical theater, play, stuff like that to try to get the girls. I was starting to learn to play the guitar. I brought my guitar. All of a sudden, women were surrounding me. People didn't understand it, but it's the power of an instrument, I'm telling you.
Sure.
So that was part one. Part two, when I first started high school, I wouldn't say I didn't try much. So people didn't necessarily think I was going to be very good at like higher level classes, right? They kept me in many general classes, and there's nothing wrong with that, but I felt like I wasn't going to be challenged enough. And my parents, God love them, fought for me. They fought the assistant principal who said, well, he should take Spanish instead of Italian. He should take, basic, English and chemistry instead of, advanced or AP.
Right.
So we fought them. Eventually I got into all the stuff, but I found out Italian had the girls in it. Well, buongiorno. It was a good time. I got to meet a whole bunch of gals that way. Then I found out about drama.
Hey, 65-year-old man, gals. Hey, gals. I wonder why none of them talk to you.
They were forced to. They had to talk to me because it was in class. They had to have conversations in Italian with me. It was a requirement, but I still took it as a win. And I also took the drama class.
Joe, how do you say leave me alone in Italian? Because I'm sure you heard that a lot.
Well, they weren't advanced enough to be able to do that. They usually just said it in English to make sure I got the point. But it was a fun class, and I still, speak Italian to this day. Maybe not amazingly, but I do it well.
That's awesome.
And
in your bougie high school teaching Italian.
So I'm going to ask, well, you're probably a bad example of this, but how many people graduated in your graduating class?
It's going to be.
But how many?
So, because here's the thing, like I went by my wife's high school.
Yes.
And I asked her, what community college is that?
Right. Yeah, no.
Because it was the biggest high school I've ever seen.
Yep.
And she goes, no, that's my high school. My high school, my graduating class was 147 people.
You had more than me.
No, you're way.
125.
Really?
Yep.
Oh, yeah. We were considered a big class.
We were,
I,
we were kind of a larger class.
I think my wife's high school has like 5,000 people in it.
Oh yeah, no. So my
More.
girlfriend
Knows.
went to, I think, I don't even remember. I think she said 1,000 people or something like that were in her graduating class. It was ridiculous.
Yeah,
And
it's like a college graduation.
like my high school could fit in one wing of her high school. Again,
Oh,
it was an
or
all
mine was.
boys. It was an all boys Catholic high school, so it wasn't that big, and it was a very small class of people. And the same thing with IHM, the girls' school across the way. It was a very very small, private Catholic school, and it was just
Joe,
yes,
I want to point this out. I went to a public school that had
yeah,
boys and girls in it, and my
yeah.
entire graduating class was
No,
147
no,
people.
I get it, I get it, I get it.
You were just guys.
Yes, that was just dudes,
You
just the
combined,
dudes. Yeah,
I've already passed the graduating class that I had.
that's fair.
Because I'm
That
going to
is,
assume that the girls' school had as many, at
yeah,
least,
they were about the
right?
same. I would
So,
say it's about
yeah,
125. Yeah.
even your graduating class was
60.
double mine
Yeah, that's
if
true.
you had combined the two.
That's true.
That's boys and girls. And by the way, our seventh graders go to the same school. It's seventh and eighth grade on the first floor, and then it was ninth and 10th grade on the second floor, and 11th and 12th grade on the third floor.
Really?
Yeah, no joke.
Okay.
And then they would let the seventh and eighth graders out earlier than us, so we didn't mess with them in the halls
That's a smart idea.
because they didn't want
That's
to intimidate those kids with the bigger
that's
kids coming in.
that's
Yeah,
good school administration right there.
it's
That
good
is
school
that is
administration.
thinking because
Yeah.
I remember when I was a freshman in 2000.
Ooh,
Yeah, I
that
just
hurt,
threw that in there to
that
give you a
hurt
little bit
right
of
there. Oh,
a dagger. When
yeah.
I was a freshman in high school in 2000, the biggest thing we were afraid of was getting pennied by the exiting seniors at like the last big, uh, pep rally or whatever the heck it was. So I remember I was not particularly, again, based on my track record of dress decisions in life, things like that. I was not endearing myself to the cool older kids by any means. So booking, you know what booking was, where I would be the guy who had the big trapper keeper on the bottom and then 2 or 3 books and notebooks on top, and I would carry
Sure.
it around like so. And the cool older kids just slapped it out and you had to pick it all up. Booking was a thing. So because I
Yeah.
went to a college prep Catholic school, we had to wear black pants, dress shirt, and tie. Well, of course, our dress shirts had the pocket. Well, pocketing was another thing where they would just come up and rip your pocket off.
Wow.
Yep. Like they would just be like, you, boom, and then just move on like nothing happened.
Wow. No, I had no idea that
And
happened
the
either.
best part? The best part?
Yeah.
I would get in trouble, not the dude who ripped it, because they wouldn't know who ripped it. They would just see me out of dress code, and I would have to go talk to the principal.
Wow.
So when the penny day was coming, I knew I was a target. There
Yeah.
was one guy. I'm not going to say
We
names,
all
but
have that one guy. Yeah.
I remember him. He,
Yep.
for whatever reason, had a problem with me. We were doing coats for one of the dances one night. Like we were in charge of the coat room, and I was in there with this freaking guy. He took a stapler and just whacked me on the ass with it.
Oh my God.
Like what the hell? So anyway, so this was the guy I was just thinking avoid him.
Yeah.
I didn't bring any books. After this pep rally, we could go
Yeah.
home. So there's a secret entrance outside the gym. We were in the gym. If you just make a beeline to the left, there's a door that gets you out to stairs that get you out into the parking lot, and then I could run home like the 6 blocks it was. So they said, "All right, everybody dismissed," and I sprinted. I actually knocked over a teacher, but I got the hell out of there, and just yeah, I left. I was very afraid for my life, but luckily nothing happened to me. And then when I became a senior, I decided, you know what? I'm not going to be one of these people who pennies
Yeah.
anybody. That was
Right.
too much fear. I was a nice guy. I didn't bother anybody. Nobody bothered me. It was fine. But that was most of my high school experience.
You got bullied.
Oh yeah, for the first
You
year,
got bullied. Yeah.
and then I didn't anymore because those people left, and then the next class up didn't really care. They were the whatever. Like they
Yeah.
hung out with
Yeah.
themselves. They'd be like, "What's up, nerd?" or "What's up, loser?" to like anybody. It doesn't
That's
matter
still
who it
bullying,
was.
though.
Yeah, no,
It's amazing to
100%.
me, right? But it
It,
still
it
happens.
it always happened. Like,
Yeah.
and I think back on it, and I was like, "Oh, hey, what's going on, guys?" But like nowadays, it's such a problem. Like, that's not good.
No,
So,
no,
and
not at all.
it was, because it was a Catholic high school, I just don't know if they didn't, well, first of all, a lot of people didn't say stuff, but the pocketing thing,
Yeah,
that's one
that's
of the
crazy
things
to
that
me.
I felt like you could have done something about that, but you didn't.
Right. Yeah, that's a failure of administration, teachers, like what people look past drives me crazy, right? Because like I didn't bully anybody and I
Right.
wasn't bullied, but I mean, I went to a very small school. Like if you picked on somebody, like it was going to get out.
Right.
There was no way of keeping that in a town that was so small.
Right.
You didn't mess with people because it would turn around and come back on you like immediately. It wasn't like you get away with it, right?
Yeah.
And we all knew each other, so we
Right.
all at some point, whether we liked each other or not, hung around with each other.
Right.
uh, and we had a group of friends, and that's who we hung around with. And I just always chose to be, and I'm still that way. Like if I don't want to deal with you, I just don't deal with you. Like it's not like
Right.
I go out of my way to go find that, right?
Right.
But and did bullying happen? Sure, I'm sure it did. I'm not trying to say, oh, I went to this utopian society of high school, right? Everybody, has stories of bullying or not being bullied. But to me, what's amazing is still to hear stories about things that get overlooked, that
Mm-hmm.
things are just allowed because it's easier to allow than to address,
Correct.
right? And that to me is where it's still so sad to hear,
Right.
right? And then to realize people are still going through it.
Yeah.
We still have people that are dealing with this, and I think even more horrendous ways, because when I grew up there was no internet, and like we've
Right.
talked about, right?
Right.
You didn't have these other avenues to bully
Mm-hmm.
somebody. You couldn't bully somebody online. It didn't exist, right? So you had this, like,
Right.
in some senses you did have a little bit more of a utopian thing, because like you could go home on a weekend and you didn't heard from anybody except for the people
Right.
that you wanted to hear from because
Wanted
they
to
were
hear
your
from them.
friends.
You hung out with them. Right.
It wasn't like you opened up your Facebook and suddenly you were being bullied even though it was a weekend, or you weren't getting text messages because none of us had phones.
Right.
uh, you had to have the corded phone that you walked around, and
Mm-hmm.
and the cord had to be long enough for you to get that far away from the where the phone was.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, that's just crazy to me, and that's how long ago, right? So
Right.
what happens today is even worse. So it's amazing that that would be allowed at that time, even, but let alone if it still goes on today, that's like inexcusable.
It's crazy.
Yeah, that's a really, really bizarre thing to me,
Mm-hmm.
because we didn't wear a uniform either, right? So you were judged on the clothes that you wore.
Correct.
I remember the day I wore parachute pants to school because I
Yeah.
thought that was cool.
Well, that's the thing. Like, I think that took out a little bit of a piece because everybody's wearing the same thing.
Sure.
Other than wearing a blue shirt or a white shirt, that was pretty much it. You had to wear black pants, black socks, black shoes. If you didn't have a belt, you got a detention. If you weren't wearing a tie, if your top button wasn't buttoned, you got a detention. Like the physical appearance was very important. And there were people who year after year, day after day, just did not follow that and just kept getting detentions for simple stuff like that. But those were also the people who typically did a little bit of the bullying, or a
Of
lot of the
course.
bullying,
Of
frankly,
course. Right.
right?
Yeah.
Because they're the cool kids. They break the rules. That's what you do. Um, I am proud to say, though, in high school, I only got one detention. My senior year, I was coming back from my drama class. Now, the one rule was if you had a class at the school across the way, you had to walk there. The teacher the period before knew you had a class across the way, so they let you out like 7 minutes early to class.
Right. Right.
You were able to get your stuff in your locker, put on your coat if it was cold, and walk across the way. Now, the thing is, there's a huge football field and a baseball diamond in between. So during wet or like mucky days, it was not a fun walk because you got your shoes all jacked up and your feet were wet. There was a
Right.
paved path, but a lot of times it was blocked by bleachers or other things. So what we did a lot of the times was we drove. You cannot drive. That is against the rules. You cannot technically leave property. And in order to drive across there, you had to leave to the street, which is not the property, and
Right.
go. So on the way back, our dean at the time, who was a very funny guy, was passing out detentions, one for you, one for you, one for you. My first detention ever in the history of ever, never before. And I'll never forget this. The algebra teacher, Mrs. Vaitha, was the detention teacher. So basically what that meant was school ended at like 3:15, whatever it was. 3:30, you had to be in her room sitting down, and you had to copy the story of St. George and the Dragon, right? And
Wow.
yep, you copied it. So she gave you like 6 or 7 pages, and it was an hour and a half. So you
Right.
just literally took a blank piece of paper, and you copy it word for word. That's it. Now, my friend Paul and I and Brian, Paul, and I, the three of us were in the car together. So we all go there. And I don't think any of us had a detention at this point. So the bell rings to leave. Everybody is like, here you go, Miss Feitha, take care. Everybody leaves. I wasn't done with the story yet. So I raised my hand. I was like, Miss Feitha, I'm so sorry. Could I just have 2 more minutes? I just want to see what happens at the end of the story. She walks over to me, takes both pieces of paper, and says, Joe, this is why people like you don't get detention. Please leave. And then I left.
Would you like to know how many detentions I got in high school?
How many detentions did you get in
Come
high
on,
school?
guess.
So, 12.
Wow. You think so highly of me.
Well, I don't know. The way you posed the question made me think I was actually underestimating what it might be. But I don't know. Higher
Zero.
or lower? You
Zero.
got 0. Okay.
I never got an attention.
See, that's
You didn't have my parents. And I will
That's
tell you
true.
right now, I was scared to death to ever get a detention. The last thing I wanted to do was get in trouble, because I tell you
Mhm.
that if you've ever seen the TV show The Goldbergs,
Yes.
the mom going to the school in
Yes.
Goldberg is my mom.
Okay.
And I'm pretty sure that the
Yes.
I think it's the Wicked Witch of the West,
Yep.
literally played if she ever had to go to the school because you told her kid did something he
Oh,
was
boy.
not supposed to do.
Oh boy.
Oh man, you did
So
not want to be that administrator,
no,
because I will tell you right now, like, that was going to be painful for you. So no, I never got a detention. But
so
I
the
also was
thing,
a very good kid. I tried to stay out of trouble.
like same here, right? Like I wouldn't ever want to. I don't think my parents would be quite that way. Like I'm sure they would not
Oh,
be pleasant, but at the same time, I wouldn't want to piss my parents off.
oh man.
So it was a very close line, but I told them I got a detention and they just chuckled and moved on, right? My parents were and still are the cool parents. They're the cool parents.
Well, my parents, cool parents, but
No,
you knew the line. Like,
oh
you
no,
knew,
100%.
you knew
Without question.
where you did not want to go, and that was where you did
Without
not want
question.
to go. Yeah.
Well, the big thing was, like, I remember, it wasn't a sleepover, it was a party, just like a kid's party. And it was in high school. And they were like, all right, when is it? And I was like, Saturday. And they're like, okay, what time? 6 o'clock, whatever it was. All right, what time you want us to come pick you up? I don't know. How about you just call us when you're ready? We'll come pick you up then. I was like, okay. So, I got to the party, and when I was there, they were like, okay, cool. How late can you stay? And I was like, well, whenever you guys are all done, like, I'll call my parents and leave. And they're like, oh man, we can only stay until 9 or 10. You got the cool parents. My parents were always the cool parents. Like, they were always, because, like, they trusted me. They knew I wasn't going to do anything stupid, because I think they also knew what they would do to me if I did anything stupid. So
Right.
it was
Sure.
it was that common understanding of, don't be dumb. We won't treat you like you're dumb.
I
So
just like the
that's
fact you went to parties and ended at 9 o'clock.
so true story. True story. I didn't know a party involved drinking or drugs or smoking cigarettes or whatever else until I was probably in college. I had never been to a party like that until college, ever. It was literally a group of 7 to 15 friends of mine that were drinking soda, playing guitar, playing video games, talking in a backyard, and that was it. Done. Like, nothing other than that.
How many high school parties do you think I went to?
Yeah, we're gonna again. You pose this in such a way that I want to answer a high number. 5.
0.
0.
Never went to one.
Okay.
No, it wasn't my thing. Well, I had a group of friends. We hung out, right? They might have gotten a party, so don't know. But no, I wasn't that kid. I was literally like, I was okay. Like, well, I had a job early too. So I was on the radio at 16.
Right.
So
right.
I worked weekends and nights, and so like, that wasn't really my lifestyle, right? I lived in a town that I so wanted to escape. I didn't want to be somebody that lived their life there. I wanted to go see other things in the world. That my focus was, how do I get out?
Right.
So I didn't have a girlfriend, right? I didn't want anything that kept me there, right? I knew I was going away to college. I knew I wanted to experience things, and I didn't want to be that small town kid.
Right.
that stayed there, right? I will
Right.
tell you, like, and it's okay for the people that wanted to, or the people that
Right.
that's the life they wanted to have. It just
That's
wasn't
cool.
me.
Right.
And so, like, I wasn't that cool kid going to parties and all that stuff. Like, my focus was I had a job so that I could use that to get. I had a job at college in a radio station before I was accepted to that university, because that's where my focus was that I
Right.
knew that if I had the
That's awesome.
job, I could get into the college, right?
Right.
And that's when I went to the University of Iowa. I was already working a radio station there. My first weekend I was at college.
Hmm.
And
That's
that's
awesome.
what my focus was, right? And I just wanted to carry that journey. But yeah, I never went to a high school party.
So I
No
guess
idea what they're like.
when I say party, again, I guess I shouldn't say, for me it was a party because it was more than 3 people. Like it was, like I said, 7 to 15 of us
It
just
was
hanging out.
it
So I
was a
guess
party
it was a
in your
party to me.
it was a party in your 65-year-old soul.
Kind of. Like it's honest to God, the same kind of parties I have now,
Right.
where I have 5 to 7 friends over, except now we will drink wine or beer. And honestly, after 2 or 3 of those, we're like, oof. All right, well, we're gonna get going. It was really good seeing everybody. Drive safe.
Now you're
Yeah, you don't.
now you're to the point where that guy hangs out for that extra 20 minutes, and it's like 10 o'clock at night and you're going, why won't he just go home?
One of my good friends had a New Year's Eve party when we were, I don't know, probably 24, 25. It was at his house. Uh, and it was a great party, nice spread, good food, all fun times. But right at about 12:45, God love him, he did not hold back and saying, "All right, you all need to go. Like we want to go to sleep. Everybody get out." And I respected that so much. You don't understand.
Absolutely.
Because I have started doing that now when I'm getting to the point where I'm like, yeah, I'm done. I will just say, all right, well, I'm getting pretty tired. Y'all can stay here. Tiff is going to be up for a while. I'm going to go to bed. Great seeing you all. Have a good night. And then I will retire myself because she's the night owl. I am not. She will
It
hang
is,
out with people for a while, and that's totally fine. And we're all friends with the same people. Not a big deal. But
folks, it is 9:15 and it is past my bedtime.
it is.
The 65-year-old man has to go to bed now.
Yep. And it's, especially if I had a glass of wine. I don't drink alcohol really. I don't. And if I have like a glass of wine, oof, you might as well call me out about 15 minutes after that's done because I am out. And I will get flush red and the snoring that night will not
Uh,
be good.
oh, I love it. It's the Dino and Joe show.